revolutionizing the way people treat people in business. The Experience Pros, America's home for positive business talk.
Hey, welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. This is America's home for positive business talk, and we are thankful that you have tuned in and are connected. Hey, do you want to reach your next goal, that big one?
Yes.
All right, then you need to follow the 10-80-10 rule.
So I'm glad you're actually bringing this up about reaching your next big goal.
Yeah.
Because about 50 days ago, we started the 100-day challenge.
It is true.
We are halfway through that 100-day challenge.
That is correct.
How you doing?
I am making progress.
Okay.
So my goal was by Christmas I was going to be 100% debt free.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a biggie.
I had a little bit of a setback,
which often happens,
life,
right? Yeah, life happens.
Life happened. However, I'm whittling away. And so I am currently at probably 35% towards my goal at 50% in. So going to have to step it up. Stepped it up today. Got some good results, and just gonna have to roll up the sleeves and get her done.
You know, I love how you bring it up. We set ourselves up for a goal, and we know what we want to achieve, and we head off in that direction, right? Going to grandma's house. I've got my lunch packed, and I know what I want to achieve. But what we often forget to plan for is when we get off track. What will derail us? What will those obstacles be?
Sure.
And when those obstacles come, not if, but when those obstacles come, how are we going to get back on track?
Yeah. And then, there's a couple of things that need to come to play here. First and foremost, at 50 days in, we still have a lot of time in our 100-day goals.
You bet.
To readjust and get back on track to achieve the goal as it was set.
That's the reason I kind of like the idea of the 100 days. Is okay. So now you can reset,
right?
Where are we? You can track it. Are you halfway there? And then, even in 25 days, right? Are we at 25%? And in those first half day, that half time, it takes extra fuel to get the engine off the ground, right? It takes a little bit more momentum.
Sure.
And so even if you're not 50% of the way there, part of getting yourself to here was all the things you had to do to get in place and to get started and to undo some bad habits.
Sure.
And so even if you're not halfway to the goal, that's actually, you're probably more on track, Eric, than you think you are. Because now that you've got your system, now that you've figured out, what happens when you get derailed,
right? Then
in these next 50 days, there's no... I just think the momentum's already been created, and you can actually probably get to 60, 70, 80% of the goal in that last half.
You're probably right. And the other side of it is, I'm also aware of the fact that, what is it they say? If you shoot for the stars and you miss, you land up near the moon or something like that.
I think if you shoot for the moon, you land among the stars.
Yeah, that's backwards from logic. But okay.
I don't know. It sounds prettier.
Okay.
Right?
Sounds
because you're shooting for the moon.
Yes.
You land among the stars, right? Which is pretty. But if you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon.
Stars are way further away.
I know, but it just sounds prettier, doesn't it?
The 10-80-10 rule. Now, you're probably familiar with the Pareto principle. That's the idea the Pareto principle. That's the idea that 80%, that's the Pomodoro.
Oh, Pomodoro.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
The idea 80% of your results come from 20% of your input.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Right. That's the 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. Okay. But John Maxwell has what he calls the 10-80-10 rule. You give 100% of your attention to the start and the end of the endeavor, and let your team drive it with the occasional tug on the reins during the long middle. He's adapted this from the Pareto principle. So let's start at the beginning. Okay. To get started, you need 4 things: vision, direction, creativity, and empowerment.
Vision,
direction. What do you see? Yeah, let's break it down.
Well, I know, but you said it so fast.
Sorry.
I thought I would just slow it down.
Yes,
vision,
ma'am.
Direction, creativity, and empowerment.
Right. So vision, what do you see? Why is the undertaking important? What could it accomplish? Catch that vision and share that vision with your team. If your team members don't know their roles, how are they going to be invested?
Right. If they don't see themselves in the picture, they're probably not going to buy into it.
Right.
And so they need to see themselves in the role. So this is where we're going. Where do I fit in that picture? And if I don't see myself there, it's going to be harder for you to motivate me to that vision.
Then comes the direction. Once you've cast a vision, you need to get behind it and give some concrete directions.
Right. It's kind of nice to say, this is the big picture and this is where we're going. Okay. How are we going to get there? Are we flying? Are we driving? Are we walking? Are we taking a bike?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be step-by-step instructions. Be creative when it comes to that, but get unconventional, because once you get into the heart of the project, that 80%, you're going to need creativity that might impede progress unless it is focused.
Well, and I think having that direction too lets people know, I've thought about this.
Right.
I have a plan. You know, we're not just hoping that we'll get there someday by doing the same thing we've always done. We actually have, some steps in place, some systems and direction.
And then finally, empowerment. Leaders who insist on micromanaging will quickly find that their overreach slows workflow and squelches creativity, also deflates people's confidence.
And this is, I think, a hard thing for leadership and for managers to get out of, because if you've got the plan, you've got the vision, you've got the direction, then you kind of have in your mind exactly how that's going to turn out. And oftentimes your team has their own, their own time schedule,
right,
their own way of getting there. And it's hard to not want to step in and tell them, no, don't do it like that, or do it this, yeah, and check, and hover over them.
Get out of the way.
You need to get out of the way, yeah, and empower them. And by fueling them, by you leaving, it's kind of like when you have kids, and so often as moms, we want to do everything for our kids because, sure, we think we're caring for them. But by leaving them to figure it out sometimes on their own, they come up with a better, faster way of
they
doing it.
Can.
And your team is the same way. If you allow them, sometimes we get in our own way because this is how we've always done it. And it's those old ways of how we've always done it that have gotten us to here. If we want to get someplace different, we got to do it different, which means we got to let our team be creative and bring something new to the table.
So the 10% is you give the vision, you give the direction, you give the voice and the creativity. Then they take over. The team takes over for the middle part. You go from project manager to chief cheerleader. And from there, when you get done, it's time for you to jump back in full throttle as the leader, add your voice, acknowledge the contributions, seek additional opportunities. And that, my friends, is the 10-80-10 equation.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're going to have to take a little bit of a break until tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. Tomorrow we'll have another show for you, Positive Business Talk, the Experience Pro style.
America's home for positive business talk. You're listening to the Experience Pros radio show. Contact them on the web at experiencepros.com.